Miss Tori, would you have a question that you would like my perspective?
What would you like your last words to be?
Ooh, my dying words?
Yeah, like on your deathbed, you got like 10 words. I'm going to count too because you're wordy. So
that
go
is
ahead.
Deep. It's got to be like, no, not exactly 10 words, but you're talking about, oh man, that is so not.
It is fair.
That is not fair. I can see how massive amounts of slave labor could have potentially created the pyramids.
Yeah.
You say aliens, and I'm like, I'm saying anything's possible because I do believe that quote unquote aliens exist. I honestly believe that they're further ahead of us in technology. They have peered down on us and been like, those humans are really self-destructive. We're going to leave them alone and just go on with life in general.
And they stopped by to check in on us, and they're like, it's not looking too good, and they dropped us Elon Musk.
Exactly. Yes. And we are back with another episode of The Julius Files. I am your host, Jason Julius, and today we have a Q&JP. That means the Julius Perspective. That's because I don't give answers, I give perspective. So maybe that's my way of sliding out of it where it's not a definitive answer. But the point being, everybody should find their own answers so that they hold themselves accountable. But I got no problem giving my perspective and maybe from time to time some of the lessons learned. And I don't know, maybe some of it is answers just because I've screwed it up so many times. I have found the right way from time to time. But I got a full co-host here, so we're gonna roll through this with 3 questions from my co-host, the Rebecca, and Master Blaster Matt Bradshaw, and Tori. And I know we keep, there we go. I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's Princess Tori. I mean, I hate to. Tori. There's a bigger story.
I get Master Blaster and she gets princess.
But you know how deep of the whole princess thing. I mean, that's such a deep rabbit hole that we're not going to necessarily. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. At least not today. You know what though? We get a little deeper into it. We might see about going down that rabbit hole. But so Q&JP, which means all of you can ask me a question, and we will see where it goes. Miss Tori, would you have a question that you would like my perspective?
What would you like your last words to be?
Ooh, my dying words?
Yeah, like on your deathbed, you got like 10 words. I'm going to count too because you're wordy. So
that is ahead. Deep. It's got to be like, no, not exactly 10 words, but you're talking about.
Pretty close though.
It's got to be 10?
I just picked 10, but you know how wordy.
Because it ain't.
I know 3 of them.
It ain't going to be like remember me. I don't. the dying words. Man, that's damn, Tori. That's like a oddball. That's dying words. And I know you're not supposed to continue to say
Cut the bottle open. Scrape it out. Waste kills all.
Dying words would be like, can you place that? Nah, I don't even know if I want to. No, I'll be like, can you place that joint in my mouth and light it, please?
That's 12, but it's close enough.
That's, Ashley, live, love, laugh, learn. I'm like, I don't. I definitely, because, I went from a time of where I never had a death wish, but there was a time where I was going, through the grieving process where I necessarily didn't have a life wish. Now it's like quality of life is more important than life itself. And I'm going out of my way to quote unquote, be kind to my future self. But as
the cigarette's burning.
Yeah, it is. Hey, everybody's got a monkey And I'm not, you know what? If you want to be a judgmental individual, well, then you're probably going to be a miserable prick too. I
notice how he just looked at me.
No, right. I'm like,
so hostile.
I take care of myself in many ways, but I still have a bad habit or two that I have to kick. But that's not what we're talking about here. We were talking about dying words, and dying words. That's see you on the other side. I don't. That's I've lived a full life, so. I'm not done living. I still have a whole lot to accomplish. But if I were to die tomorrow, I could be like, I've seen some shit. I've experienced some shit. I've accomplished some shit. And if I died at 47, I had a pretty, I don't want to say a fruitful life. That's part of because there has been a whole lot of delayed gratification in everything that I have done in life. And finally working towards getting to that actual gratification. But I am a big believer that the journey is the happiness, that if everything is, you're not happy until you get to the other side of it, well, like you're not gonna be happy a lot in life. And I think that I'm a generally a pretty positive individual, and I have had a chance to travel, and I've experienced many different things. So I know that it wasn't no different than when my son died, and it was there are people that suffer far worse tragedies. It's not an excuse to fold and not give up or handle your responsibilities. It's not an excuse to not live. I look at it and I'm like, there are many that lived far less experiencing and accomplished lives but on the other, we've talked about that. You know how I feel about legacy. I'm like, there's no legacy that stands the test of time. So I'm not overly looking towards legacy.
Pyramids.
Yeah, but those were made by aliens. So no human stands the test of time, I guess is what I'm.
Facts. Allegedly.
And that is allegedly, because I'm just pulling off your line. I can see how massive amounts of slave labor could have potentially created the pyramids. Yeah. You say aliens, and I'm like, I'm saying anything's possible, because I do believe that quote unquote aliens exist. I honestly believe that they're further ahead of us in technology. They have peered down on us and been like, those humans are really self-destructive. We're going to leave them alone and just go on with life in general.
And they stopped by to check in on us, and they're like, it's not looking too good, and they dropped us Elon Musk.
Exactly. Yes, good point. Yeah, that's exactly
it. You need me to go to space.
So again, he's lobbying hard for that. But no, if aliens did in fact,
somebody's going to send the first obese person to space, and I just feel like I should be that person.
And I feel like that person would be Elon Musk. So.
Yeah. So
hey, I don't root. I'm honest. For a selfish reason, I don't root for it. That's just. I like you are very, very. You're a good friend, but you're very, very valuable to the business. So I don't root for you to take the unnecessary risk of launching into space.
Valuable I could be if I was in space.
Man, I don't.
You would have none of those questions being asked. You would just be able to focus. The moon is space. 3 days away.
Yeah,
you would get a whole little mini vacation on the way up and down. It would be nice.
It'd be like my longest vacation would be going to outer space.
Wow.
How fun would that be? So Elon,
I can tell that amused Rebecca right there. His longest vacation. Okay. I don't even know that I gave you a great answer, but I gave you some perspective. That's so.
What it's all
yeah,
about.
exactly.
That's what it's all about.
Okay, Miss Rebecca. Yeah, exactly. Oh, now you're on the spot now. Because last podcast Matt went first and gave a shit that he always goes first, and that's not true. But the point is, we're gonna let him go last. So, do you have a creative question for me?
I don't have a creative question so much. I have an easy question for you, because it's sleepy out and my brain don't want to work right now. What's your favorite book so far?
Oh, that's not fair because I mean, that when it comes to one favorite book, and I still, oh man, that is so not.
It is fair.
That is not fair. Because I mean, for the listeners, like I don't read fiction books. Like I don't take pleasure in reading for the sake of reading. I read to educate myself, to feed my brain, to gather knowledge in general. But when we're talking about like a favorite book, I don't know that I necessarily have a favorite book. I do think that that Think and Grow Rich probably had the most impact on me in my life. And I'm saying that because it was one of the first books that I read in my early 20s. And a couple months ago, I went back and reread it. And as I was reading it, I was like shocked at all of the perspective and the mindset that I was reading. And the frame of reference was to go, I feel so deeply that way in everything that I was reading that like in my 20s, I didn't know shit, that the seeds that were planted at that time and how they sprouted and grew root in me to be very strong beliefs in general, and how my perspective developed, that I'm like, by far one of the most influential books in my life. And I only discovered how influential it was upon reading it a second time 25 years later. But when it comes to a favorite book, I don't believe that I have a favorite book. I don't even know that I have a favorite author. I definitely have got a long list of favorite books compared to other books, because even the ones that I've read that were like a brick, I mean, I'll find some nugget of information in it that'll make reading the book worthwhile. But no, I Think and Grow Rich is man, it's just that the information is as true today as it was when he wrote it back in the 20s and 30s. I mean, it's just, because the overall concept of mindset and entrepreneurship, things have evolved through technology, but the mindset is the same. How you win and succeed in life and business, that perspective is very much still the same. So upon him interviewing all of those successful entrepreneurs, the principles are lasting principles. They're as true today as they ever were. So, Think and Grow Rich.
Very good.
Okay. Mr. Bradshaw, it's always a surprise. I never know whether you're going to goad me or you're, I mean, I never know what.
Nobody knows.
No, nobody does. Because it just, I never know which direction you're actually going to, where you're going to come from.
Yeah, I got you a couple of podcasts ago with a good one.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a decent one. To end on a happy note. Let's do it that way.
To end on a happy note.
What
okay.
is the accomplishment you were the proudest of so far?
The proudest. The accomplishment that I am proudest of.
So far. Business-wise, 17 and a half years in.
I mean, I still go back to the first one. Like, Coffee Junkiez is my first love. It was the first child born, the business child born. I mean, like
So opening the doors day one.
No, it was that. I mean, because I told you that flipping on the open sign the first day was one of the scariest moments of my life, because it was a realization that, oh, you're in business and it's meant to flip on this open sign every day for the next eternity, 30, 40, 50. And I'm trying to build something that outlives me. So flipping on that open sign every day for the next 100, and hopefully I leave it in a position for the leadership behind me to continue to take it on. But that's what I'm sitting there going, Coffee Junkiez is still the root that spawned my entrepreneurial journey, that led me on the path of discovery, that led me to the definition of insanity, and me finally like, okay, something has to change. Something has to, that there's a better way. All things started with Coffee Junkiez. All of the knowledge that I have gained has been with the wanting to see Coffee Junkiez develop and grow and succeed. But it was out of all of those learned principles came Pizza Junkiez, came Double J franchising. It was the making so many mistakes in that process that led to the, like I said, I was wrong so much more than being right, that I am now right more than I'm wrong. It's that confidence that led to Scared Rabbit. It's that confidence that led to Vickers Custom Apparel. All of that comes back to the Coffee Junkiez is still the baby of it all. It's still that's why I said, anytime I see the logos, don't put Pizza Junkiez in front of Coffee Junkiez. Coffee Junkiez comes first. It was first. It is first. It will always be first.
That can get fighting words right there. You put Pizza Junkiez first.
That's it really. I mean, I've got the stupid little things that it's just like, again, it was the baby. It's the one that led me on the path. And it's everything. Because again, we were talking about that offline, your why. My why is all based around my son. My son is that Coffee Junkiez is the living, breathing version on earth of my son. In a weird, like not realistic, twisted way, but it's what my brain attached to, was that I wasn't in control of the outcome with him, and we lost him. And I told myself, if I was in control of the outcome would have been different. Well, Coffee Junkiez is the parallel, that he is my why. So what am I proudest of? That I was in control of Coffee Junkiez, and here we are 17 years later. And we have not achieved my vision. Coffee Junkiez is on the road to being a national brand, but it is still very much a local icon, which is cool in itself. But the foundation is laid, the brand and the business are healthy, so that I'm very proud that Coffee Junkiez is alive and thriving. The Coffee Junkiez is healthy, and it opened the door for all of my learning and all of the development. And if it wasn't for Coffee Junkiez, I don't know that Pizza Junkiez ever would have been born. And if it wasn't for Pizza Junkiez being born, I don't know that I would have ever met either one of you. If it wasn't for all of that, okay, well, I mean, Rebecca, I don't know if Rebecca would still be beside me or not. She bet on me, and it's been the parlay of all of these events that got us to a point where if we were still struggling like we were 10 years ago, she might have been like, you know what, I bet on you, but 10 years of this, I can't. It's like, yeah. Proudest moment. It's hard to find a proudest moment, but it really all does come back to Coffee Junkiez. And
I think that's an acceptable answer.
Okay,
I didn't know if it'd be moving into Washington Street, actually starting franchising.
No, because the thing is I'm moving into Washington Street was a dumb move. I can honestly say that. It was because with Coffee Junkiez, it was people pulling in. They heard all these great things about the product and the brand, and then they saw the building, and they're like, that's it. And I let that bother me. So it was a quest for legitimacy that I wanted to get into a bigger building so that people would take me more seriously. Man, that was a dumb move.
Size matters.
Wow. To women,
you started this with not being able to go down the rabbit hole.
No, that's what I'm like. To women, I'm sure that's quality's got to count for something. Service has got to count for something. But the point being, a lot of that stuff was mistakes, and some of it was bold moves, and then figuring out how to make it work along the way. But the entire journey was all initiated. If I had not lost my son, I never would have left Chrysler. Like had I not lost my son, I would have never changed directions in life. And through all the heartache, I'm like, you guys.
You're very sure about that.
I am very sure about that because I'm also very sure that I would not have lost my reelection. He died 30 days before reelection, and I wasn't up for the politics of getting reelected. That my
understandably so.
My dream job was that union rep positions, because from being an uneducated blue collar guy, winning that elected position was like glass ceiling being broken. It was my upward mobility to not only get reelected, but to move up higher positions in the union. And I very much saw it as a brotherhood. Like I had no problem being a part of a leadership team. And as far as I was concerned, I was cutting my teeth, learning at a union steward level, knowing that I could be elected as a committeeman, being responsible for a bigger area, that there was a vice president and a president position of the local. And then if I was really good, I could move on to international. I mean, like I had a road ahead of me that I was eager to travel. But I mean, losing my son just threw everything into a tailspin. So no, had I not lost my son, I never would have left Chrysler. I never would have walked away from the union. I honestly, I would have known your husband, but I don't know if I would have ever known you. Life would be completely different, and I would be 2 years away from retirement. And that is part of a big apples to apples comparison. I knew that when I left Chrysler, that the only apples to apples comparison of did I make the right move would be, I knew exactly the day that I would have 30 years in at Chrysler and I would be eligible for retirement. And when I left, I committed to working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week in the business, so that when I got to that apples to apples moment, I would know, I would have my answer. Did I make a good decision by walking away from Chrysler? Today, all signs point towards I will be sizably further by taking my future into my own hands and pursuing my own path, compared to staying at Chrysler and staying in the plants.
Not as easy.
No. No. Delayed gratification, no two ways about it. But I long said I left Chrysler because I didn't need to punch a clock to work and earn a living. And the trajectory of where we are and where we're going, in 2 more years, Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez will be full-blown locations across the nation, considered totally a national brand, and the true vision coming to life. And when I get to September 9/12 of 2024, is that right? 23, 24, yeah. 9/12 of 2024 will be my apples to apples comparison. And we got a little bit more than 2 years to see just how far down the road. I mean, because the thing is that's where you but I'm a millionaire because the business is worth millions of dollars. I'm not a millionaire, and I do not have a liquid $1 million in the bank, but the brands in the business under any valuation they are worth more than $1 million. So, okay, but that's I don't have it in the bank. So it's well, if I sold it, it's only worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. If I sold it, I'm quite sure that I could receive several $1 million for it, but it's not sold, so that money is not in the bank. But I'm just trying to be realistic where I'm okay, if I left Chrysler, I know almost exactly where I would be in monetarily, what I would have in pension going forward. I know exactly what my life would be. So I'm looking at that on this end of it going, okay, clock's still running, and there is still a whole lot of room to fuck it up, and there is still a whole lot of
Let's
room.
not do that.
No, to make a lot of forward progress so that it
Let's
is a
do that.
total. No, I want to get to the end of the 2 years and it be like a apples to apples comparison. I bust out laughing and fall on the ground because it's that easy of an apples to apples comparison to say I'm 20, 30, 40, 50 times past where I would have been had I just stayed at Chrysler. And all of it because of a brainchild that is Coffee Junkiez that sat on my brain for over a decade, to which I did nothing with it until I really needed to do something with it because my brain really needed something more.
Do you have the name that far back?
I don't. No, not back then. Not back then. As I recall, the name came up or came to be decided upon setting on the houseboat that summer when I was like, okay, I'm doing this. I've got to have a name. I've got to have colors. I've got to have a logo. And I started that whole creation process. So, yeah. And it all just kind of came to me. And don't get me wrong, Coffee Junkiez I was fearful. Because I loved the tongue in cheek of it. I loved the edginess of it, but I was fearful that would backfire on me and that people would take the negative connotation.
Back then, I mean, it wasn't as bad as it is now with the using junkies in it.
Yeah, with the Coffee Junkiez and the Pizza Junkies. But on the other side of it, I knew, see, that's what I'm saying. I didn't know, like today, I'm a coffee junkie. Like, if you don't, I need my 3 cups in the morning or I'm hell on wheels. Like, start my day, give me my morning reading, drinking my 3 cups of coffee. Back then, I was not a coffee drinker. So I knew that there was a lot to do with coffee. And that was my hope, was that, there's Coffee Junkiez out there that this has got to resonate. Now I'm laughing going, well, it's got to resonate with everybody because coffee is life. That's for me and a whole lot of people. But yeah, that's
a lot more people than it is not.
Yes, exactly. So, okay, that wraps up a Q&JP, and hopefully you got something out of it. If there's any interest, I'm sure you might have learned something about where Coffee Junkiez came from. But I will say that at the end of it all, because I remember putting out a thing out on my social media where I said your why has to be stronger than just money. I'm not going to sit here and say that I haven't done what I'm doing in the entrepreneurial journey in the pursuit of money, but that's not my why. That was I know what my why is, and if I'm successful, the byproduct is that there is going to be a sizable amount of money on the other side, and your why has to be stronger than money. But failure was never an option, and now you guys know why. Like, that's quit is not in my vocabulary, and everything all goes back to Coffee Junkiez, and it goes back to my son, and that's my why, and that's why the people that think about competing with me, that's why you will never beat me, because I have a stronger why. I have a stronger will, and I'm more hard-headed than you are, because even if you knock me down, I will keep coming and I will wear your ass down. So, hey, thank you for tuning in, and please share the show, because I am a guy and I'm trying to build some shit, and I'm enjoying the podcasting, and I'm hoping the people listening, that there's a certain amount of pleasure that they are receiving from listening to this podcast. So until next time, you guys have a good night.